As Marcus Aurelius said, "What stands in the way becomes the way." Yet many today are missing the true meaning of Stoicism. Stoicism is back, praised for its lessons on inner strength, but many misunderstand it. Imagine a man who thinks being stoic means hiding emotions and handling everything alone. He's got it wrong. In this video, we'll uncover 7 common mistakes people make about Stoicism and how to correct them. By the end, you'll see how the real teachings of Marcus Aurelius can help us live better. Let's dive in and discover true Stoic wisdom. Misconception 1. Stoicism means suppressing emotions. Imagine a man stoically standing amidst chaos, his face an unyielding mask of indifference. This image, popularized by movies and media, suggests that a stoic man should suppress all emotions. But is this what Stoicism truly advocates? The misconception that Stoicism demands the suppression of emotions is widespread. Modern men often interpret Stoic teachings to mean they should become unemotional robots, shutting off all feelings to maintain composure. This misunderstanding stems from a superficial reading of Stoic texts, leading to emotional repression rather than healthy emotional management. When Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and one of the most renowned Stoic philosophers, penned his reflections in Meditations, he did so not as a stone-faced ruler, but as a deeply introspective individual. He often wrote about his frustrations, fears, and sadness. However, instead of allowing these emotions to overwhelm him, he sought to understand them. He saw emotions as natural human responses that could be managed with reason and reflection. Stoicism does not advocate for the suppression of emotions, but rather for the cultivation of emotional intelligence. Stoic philosophers like Seneca and Marcus Aurelius taught that we should understand our emotions, recognize their sources, and respond to them rationally. Emotions are natural human responses. It is our reaction to them that defines our Stoicism. Seneca, another great Stoic thinker, advised in his letters that one should train our minds to rise above fortune and to look down upon the world's wealth, not only with hope, but with boldness and defiance. He did not mean we should become unfeeling automatons. Instead, he meant that we should learn to master our emotions, not be mastered by them. It's about finding a balance, acknowledging our emotions, but not letting them control us. Consider a modern professional who faces criticism at work. Instead of suppressing the feelings of frustration or anger, a Stoic approach would involve acknowledging these emotions, understanding why they arise, and then deciding on a rational response, such as seeking constructive feedback or addressing the issue calmly with a superior. Imagine a manager receives negative feedback on a project he worked tirelessly on. His initial reaction might be one of anger or disappointment. A misconstrued Stoic approach would tell him to ignore these feelings, to bury them deep. But a true Stoic response would involve taking a step back, understanding the root of his feelings, and then choosing a measured response. Perhaps he could use the feedback as an opportunity for growth, seeing it as a challenge to improve rather than a personal attack. Understanding the proper handling of emotions sets the foundation for a deeper comprehension of Stoicism. However, emotional management is just one aspect where modern interpretations often falter. Next, we'll delve into another common misconception that relates to self-reliance. Misconception 2. Stoicism is about absolute self-reliance. Real men don't need anyone. They are completely self-sufficient. This mantra of extreme self-reliance is often mistakenly attributed to Stoicism. But does Stoicism really endorse such isolation? Modern men often equate Stoicism with an ideal of absolute self-reliance, believing that a true Stoic should handle everything alone, without seeking help or support. This belief is not only incorrect but also detrimental to personal growth and well-being. Think of the rugged lone wolf, the image of a man who tackles all of life's challenges by himself, never asking for help, never showing vulnerability. This image might seem appealing at first glance. It suggests strength and independence. However, this extreme form of self-reliance can lead to isolation and burnout. It ignores the fundamentally social nature of human beings. Stoicism teaches the importance of self-discipline and personal responsibility, but it also emphasizes the interconnectedness of human beings. The Stoics believed in the concept of a cosmopolis, a universal city where all humans are citizens. This means recognizing our dependence on others and valuing relationships as essential to our well-being. Epictetus, another key Stoic philosopher, often spoke about the importance of community. He advised that we should conduct ourselves towards others as we would have them act towards us. This implies a mutual support system, a recognition that we are not islands but parts of a greater whole. True Stoicism encourages us to seek support, to build strong relationships, and to contribute to the community around us. Take the case of a man struggling with mental health issues. Instead of isolating himself and attempting to handle everything alone, a Stoic approach would involve seeking support from friends, family, or professionals. Recognizing one's limitations and the value of community is key to true Stoicism. Imagine John, who has been feeling overwhelmed by stress at work and personal issues at home. A modern, misinterpreted Stoic might try to tough it out alone, believing that seeking help is a sign of weakness. However, by embracing true Stoic principles, John reaches out to a trusted friend, talks to a therapist, and finds solace in his community. He understands that seeking support is not a weakness, but a strength, a recognition of his place within the larger human family. Moving from self-reliance to interdependence highlights the nuanced understanding required for practicing Stoicism correctly. Yet, another common misstep involves the perception of external achievements. Let's explore how this misconception shapes the modern approach to Stoicism. Misconception 3. Stoicism is about achieving external success. Success is often measured by wealth, status, and achievements. Many believe that Stoicism is a pathway to such external successes. But does Stoicism prioritize these external markers? In a world obsessed with success, it's easy to see why some modern men misinterpret Stoicism as a means to achieve external goals. This belief aligns with the self-help industry's portrayal of Stoicism as a tool for personal success and competitive edge. Imagine the countless books and seminars that promise wealth, power, and fame by following Stoic principles. They often highlight how Stoic practices can give you the edge in business or sports, painting a picture of Stoicism as a ladder to climb to the top. This interpretation, however, misses the core of Stoic philosophy. Stoicism, however, teaches that true success lies in inner virtue and wisdom, not in external achievements. The Stoics valued virtues like wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance over wealth, fame, or power. They believed that external success is beyond our control and should not be the measure of a good life. Marcus Aurelius, despite being an emperor with unimaginable power and wealth, often reflected on the fleeting nature of such external trappings. In his meditations, he constantly reminded himself that true fulfillment comes from within. He urged himself to focus on becoming a better person, not on acquiring more power or wealth. To Marcus, true Stoic success was about living in accordance with nature and virtue, not about the external accolades. Consider a businessman who faces a financial setback. A modern misinterpretation of Stoicism might push him to focus solely on regaining his wealth as a measure of success. A true Stoic approach would instead focus on maintaining integrity, learning from the experience, and exercising resilience, regardless of the financial outcome. Picture a CEO whose company is facing bankruptcy. The pressure to turn things around is immense, and a superficial understanding of Stoicism might drive him to obsess over profit margins and investor satisfaction. However, embracing true Stoic principles, he chooses to act with integrity, treating his employees fairly, and making decisions based on virtue rather than desperation for financial recovery. He learns and grows from the experience, understanding that his worth is not tied to his company's success but to his character and actions. Shifting the focus from external success to internal virtues helps realign with true Stoic principles. Yet, another area ripe for misunderstanding involves the concept of control. Let's delve into how modern interpretations often misrepresent this key Stoic idea. Misconception 4. Stoicism requires complete control over one's life. Control what you can, ignore the rest. This oversimplified slogan suggests that Stoics must exert control over all aspects of their lives. But is this truly feasible or even desirable? Many modern men believe that Stoicism demands complete control over every aspect of their lives. This misconception can lead to frustration and a false sense of failure when things inevitably don't go as planned. Imagine trying to control every detail of your life, from the weather to other people's action. It's an impossible task and a source of constant stress. This misinterpretation of Stoicism can make one feel perpetually anxious, as no one can control everything. This extreme version of control is not what Stoicism teaches. Stoicism distinguishes between what is within our control and what is not. According to Epictetus, we should focus on controlling our own actions, judgments, and responses, while accepting that many external events are beyond our control. This understanding helps in cultivating serenity and reducing unnecessary stress. Epictetus famously said, "Some things are in our control and others are not." He emphasized that we should concern ourselves with our own actions, thoughts, and attitudes which are within our control, and accept that external events and other people's actions are beyond our control. This distinction is crucial for maintaining peace of mind and avoiding unnecessary stress. Imagine an athlete training for a competition. A misunderstanding of Stoicism might lead him to obsess over every variable, from his diet to weather conditions, attempting to control the uncontrollable. A Stoic approach would involve focusing on his training and effort, while accepting that the outcome is influenced by many external factors. Consider Sarah, a marathon runner. She can control her training regimen, her diet, and her mindset. However, she cannot control the weather on race day or the performance of other runners. By focusing on what she can control, her preparation and attitude, Sarah can approach the race with a calm and focused mind, regardless of the external conditions. She understands that her true success lies in her effort and virtue, not necessarily in winning the race. Embracing what we can control and letting go of what we cannot is fundamental to Stoicism. Misinterpreting this principle can lead to the next common misconception, the avoidance of pleasure. Let's explore how this misunderstanding impacts the modern practice of Stoicism. Misconception 5. Stoicism means avoiding pleasure. The image of a Stoic as a person who denies all pleasures and lives an austere, joyless life is pervasive. But does Stoicism really call for such asceticism? Some modern men interpret Stoicism as a call to renounce all pleasures, believing that any indulgence is a sign of weakness. This extreme interpretation can lead to an unbalanced life devoid of joy. Picture a monk-like figure who shuns all forms of enjoyment, living a life of strict austerity. This image might suggest strength and discipline, but it also paints a picture of a joyless existence. The idea that Stoicism requires one to avoid all pleasures is a misinterpretation that can lead to a bleak and unfulfilled life. Stoicism does not demand the avoidance of pleasure, but rather the avoidance of being controlled by pleasure. The Stoics taught that pleasures should be enjoyed in moderation and with wisdom. The key is not to be enslaved by desires, but to appreciate pleasures without compromising one's virtues. Seneca, in his writings, often spoke about enjoying life's pleasures wisely. He did not advocate for a life devoid of enjoyment, but for one where pleasures are savored mindfully and without excess. He warned against being controlled by desires, which can lead to dependency and loss of self-control. The goal is to enjoy pleasures in a way that aligns with virtue and wisdom. Consider a man who loves gourmet food. A misinterpretation of Stoicism might lead him to give up this enjoyment entirely. A true Stoic approach would be to enjoy his meals mindfully, without overindulgence, and ensuring that his enjoyment does not lead to unhealthy habits or ethical compromises. Imagine Alex, a food enthusiast. He loves trying new dishes and enjoys dining at fine restaurants. A misinterpreted Stoic approach might push him to forego these pleasures, thinking they are distractions from a virtuous life. However, by embracing true Stoicism, Alex can continue to enjoy his culinary adventures mindfully, savoring each bite without overindulgence. He learns to appreciate the experience without letting it dominate his life or lead to unhealthy habits. Understanding the balance between enjoying pleasures and maintaining control is crucial. Yet, another misconception involves the application of Stoicism in daily struggles. Let's examine how this philosophy can be relevant not just in times of crisis, but in everyday life. Misconception 6. Stoicism is only for major life. Crises. Many turn to Stoicism during significant life challenges, but some believe it has little relevance to everyday issues. Is Stoicism only a crisis philosophy? There is a common belief that Stoicism is only applicable during major life crises such as death, illness, or financial ruin. This misconception limits the potential benefits of Stoicism in everyday life. Think of the stories of ancient Stoics dealing with exile, slavery, or political turmoil. These dramatic tales might suggest that Stoicism is only useful in times of extreme adversity. However, this view overlooks the practical applications of Stoic principles in daily life. Stoicism is a practical philosophy meant for everyday living. The teachings of Stoic philosophers encompass daily practices and attitudes that help navigate both minor inconveniences and major crises. It encourages consistent self-improvement and mindfulness in all aspects of life. Epictetus, who was born a slave and later became a prominent Stoic teacher, often focused on everyday challenges in his teachings. He offered practical advice on how to handle daily frustrations, relationships, and personal growth. Stoicism, in its true form, is about finding wisdom and tranquility in every moment, not just in the face of disaster. Think of someone dealing with daily traffic stress. A misunderstanding of Stoicism might suggest it's irrelevant to such minor annoyances. However, a Stoic approach would involve using techniques like deep breathing, reframing thoughts, and practicing patience to maintain calm and perspective. Consider Tom, who faces a stressful commute every day. Instead of seeing this as a minor inconvenience, he applies Stoic principles to improve his experience. He practices deep breathing when stuck in traffic, reframes his thoughts to see the commute as a time for reflection or listening to audiobooks, and exercises patience. By doing so, he transforms a daily frustration into an opportunity for personal growth and mindfulness. Applying Stoic principles to everyday life enhances overall well-being. This brings us to our final misconception, which involves the perceived rigidity of Stoicism. Let's explore how understanding the flexibility of Stoic teachings can enrich our practice. Misconception 7. Stoicism is a rigid, unchanging doctrine. Once a Stoic, always a Stoic. This phrase suggests that Stoicism is a strict, unchanging set of rules. But does Stoicism really leave no room for flexibility? Some modern men view Stoicism as a rigid doctrine, believing that it demands strict adherence to a set of unchangeable rules. This perception can make Stoicism seem unapproachable and unrealistic. Imagine a set of ironclad rules that dictate every aspect of your life, with no room for flexibility or personal interpretation. This rigid approach can feel stifling and impractical, especially in a world that is constantly changing. However, this is not how Stoicism was intended to be practiced. Stoicism is not a rigid doctrine, but a flexible philosophy that evolves with understanding and context. The Stoics encouraged adapting their teachings to fit personal circumstances and contemporary challenges. Flexibility and continuous learning are integral to practicing Stoicism effectively. Marcus Aurelius, despite being an emperor, often wrote about the importance of adapting to change and remaining flexible in his Meditations. He understood that life is dynamic and our approach must evolve with it. Stoicism, in its true form, is about applying timeless principles to the ever-changing circumstances of life, finding wisdom and virtue in every new situation. Consider a man who initially adopts Stoic principles to deal with workplace stress. but finds that his approach needs adjustment as his life circumstances change. A rigid interpretation would prevent him from adapting his practices. True Stoicism, however, would encourage him to evolve his understanding and application of Stoic principles to suit his current needs. Imagine David, who starts practicing Stoicism to cope with stress at his corporate job. Over time, his life changes. He gets married, has children, and starts his own business. His rigid approach to Stoicism, focusing only on professional stress, no longer fits his new circumstances. By embracing the flexibility of Stoic teachings, David adapts his practices to his evolving life, finding new ways to apply wisdom, patience, and resilience in his roles as a husband, father, and entrepreneur. Recognizing Stoicism as a dynamic and adaptable philosophy helps to fully embrace its teachings. As we conclude, it's essential to reflect on the journey and the true essence of Stoicism. In the conclusion, in exploring these 7 misconceptions, we've uncovered the deeper layers of Stoic philosophy and its true applications. By understanding that Stoicism is not about suppressing emotions but managing them intelligently, we can foster healthier emotional lives. Recognizing that Stoicism does not demand absolute self-reliance but values community and interdependence helps us build stronger relationships and seek support when needed. We've learned that true Stoic success is measured by inner virtues rather than external achievements, shifting our focus from material gains to personal growth. By distinguishing between what we can control and what we cannot, we cultivate serenity and reduce unnecessary stress. Understanding that Stoicism allows for the enjoyment of pleasures without being enslaved by them brings balance to our lives. The teachings of Stoic philosophers encompass daily practices and attitudes that help navigate both minor inconveniences and major crises. It encourages consistent self-improvement and mindfulness in all aspects of life. Epictetus, who was born a slave and later became a prominent Stoic teacher, often focused on everyday challenges in his teachings. He offered practical advice on how to handle daily frustrations, relationships, and personal growth. Stoicism, in its true form, is about finding wisdom and tranquility in every moment, not just in the face of disaster. Think of someone dealing with daily traffic stress. A misunderstanding of Stoicism might suggest it's irrelevant to such minor annoyances. However, a Stoic approach would involve using techniques like deep breathing, reframing thoughts, and practicing patience to maintain calm and perspective. Consider Tom, who faces a stressful commute every day. Instead of seeing this as a minor inconvenience, he applies Stoic principles to improve his experience. He practices deep breathing when stuck in traffic, reframes his thoughts to see the commute as a time for reflection or listening to audiobooks, and exercises patience. By doing so, he transforms a daily frustration into an opportunity for personal growth and mindfulness. Applying Stoic principles to everyday life enhances overall well-being. This brings us to our final misconception, which involves the perceived rigidity of Stoicism. Let's explore how understanding the flexibility of Stoic teachings can enrich our practice. In the call to action. As we conclude this exploration of Stoicism, I encourage you to reflect on your understanding of this ancient philosophy. Are there areas where you might be misinterpreting its teachings? How can you apply the true principles of Stoicism to your daily life? Take the time to read works by Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus. Engage with their writings, ponder their insights, and see how they resonate with your personal experience. Stoicism is not just a philosophy to be studied, but a way of life to be lived. Embrace its teachings, challenge your misconceptions, and strive to become a modern Stoic who truly understands and practices the wisdom of this timeless philosophy. By doing so, you can navigate the ups and downs of life with greater EQ,